Tomorrow is pregnant. In the peaceful village of Izioma lived a hardworking businessman, Mr. Uchendu. Though not the richest, he was admired for his honesty and determination. Beside him was his gentle and humble wife, Ezin, whose kindness made their home warm and joyful. After a year of marriage, their joy multiplied when they welcomed a beautiful baby girl, Adoma. She was cherished deeply by her parents and seen by the villagers as a blessing to the family. For 10 happy years, the Uchendu home was filled with love, laughter, and Ezin's gentle care for little Adoma. But sorrow came when Ezin fell seriously ill. Despite efforts to save her, she grew weaker until she passed away, leaving her husband heartbroken and her daughter motherless. The once lively household grew silent, and young Adoma faced the pain of losing the only warmth she had ever known. After some time, Mr. Uchendu decided to remarry, hoping to give Adoma the motherly care she had lost. His new wife, Obiajili, arrived in the household with smiles and warmth. At first, she treated Adoma kindly, cooking for her, dressing her, and showing affection that eased the child's loneliness. For a while, it seemed as though happiness had returned to the family. But everything changed when Obiajili gave birth to twins, a boy, Obis, and a girl, Obianuju. From that moment, her heart shifted. The love she once showed Adoma turned to jealousy and cruelty. She began favoring her own children while treating Adoma as an outsider. Life soon turned bitter for young Adoma. Obiajili made her do all the housework, cooking, washing, fetching water, and even hawking oranges in the scorching sun. Her step-siblings, Obis and Obianuju, lived in comfort, mocking her while she toiled. Her father, Mr. Uchendu, had fallen into heavy drinking after losing his business. He no longer cared for his daughter or noticed her pain, leaving Adoma alone to face cruelty and hardship in her own home. One afternoon, while hawking oranges, Adoma misplaced the little money she had earned. Fear gripped her as she walked home, knowing her stepmother's temper. The moment Obiajili heard the news, her face darkened with rage. Without mercy, she rained heavy blows on the helpless girl, scolding her with cruel words. Bruised and overwhelmed by pain, Adoma burst into tears and fled from the compound, her cries echoing through the village streets. As Adoma ran blindly through the streets, tears streaming down her face, she collided with a fast-moving car. The loud thud drew the attention of bystanders, who gasped in shock. Behind the wheel was Obidi, a wealthy young man from the city. Startled, he rushed out immediately and found the frail girl lying on the ground, bruised and bleeding. Without hesitation, he lifted her gently into his car and sped to the nearest hospital. Doctors quickly discovered that Adoma had a fractured arm and several cuts, but what shocked them most was her malnourished state. From that moment, Obidi felt a deep sense of responsibility for the young girl whose life had suddenly crossed paths with his. At the hospital, Obidi stayed close as doctors treated Adoma's injuries. It was then he noticed her frail body and sunken eyes, clear signs of malnutrition and long neglect. When he tried to reach her family, no one came. Not even her stepmother bothered to visit. Seeing this, Obidi's heart was moved with pity. Day after day, he brought food, medicine, and gentle encouragement to the girl. He spoke kindly to her, listened to her silence, and gave her the care she had been denied for so long. For the first time in her young life, Adoma felt what true kindness and compassion meant. After seeing Adoma suffering, Obidi decided she deserved a chance at a better future. He visited Obiajili, who at first resisted giving up the girl, not because she cared for her, but because she saw Adoma as free labor. After much negotiation, Obidi offered her 500,000 Nigerian nairas, and Obiajili, blinded by greed, agreed to let the child go without hesitation. But Obidi had no plans of making Adoma a maid, as everyone expected. Instead, he treated her with dignity and gave her a safe home. He noticed her love for creativity and design, so he enrolled her in a well-respected fashion school. 2 years passed, and Adoma poured her heart into her studies at the fashion school. She was hardworking, attentive, and creative, often staying late to practice designs while others rested. Her teachers admired her dedication, and her classmates looked up to her resilience. By the time she graduated, Adaoma stood out as one of the best students in the entire school. Proud of her achievement, Obidi decided to support her next step in life. He bought her a spacious shop in a busy plaza, furnished it with modern equipment, and stocked it with fabrics, sewing machines, and every tool she could need. While Adaoma was rising to success, her stepmother's own children began to fall apart. Obis, once pampered and spoiled, grew into a reckless young man. He sold off his father's farmlands and properties one by one, wasting the money on gambling, drinking, and vain pleasures. When nothing was left, he disappeared into the city, leaving behind only shame. Obianuju, his twin sister, was no better. One day, she ran away with a man, abandoning her family without a word. She never returned home. Their father, Mr. Uchendu, could no longer bear the disgrace. Bitter and disappointed, he finally disowned them both, realizing too late that the children he had trusted to carry his name had brought him nothing but sorrow. One fateful evening, chaos erupted at the busy plaza where Adaoma's fashion shop stood. A gang of armed robbers stormed the place, breaking into shops, threatening traders, and scattering frightened customers. People screamed and ran in all directions as the sound of shattered glass and gunshots filled the air. Adaoma's shop, filled with the fruits of her hard work, was among the targets. Though terrified, she stayed hidden until the security guards arrived. A fierce struggle broke out, and by the end of it, 3 of the 6 robbers were captured, while the others fled into the night. When the masks were pulled from their faces, Adaoma's heart nearly stopped. Among the captured criminals was none other than her stepbrother, Obis. Once the proud son of Obiajili, he now stood in shame, his head bowed, unable to look Adaoma in the eyes. News of Obis' arrest spread quickly through the village. The court demanded that each robber pay a heavy fine or face years in prison. Desperate and hopeless, his twin sister Obianuju turned to the one person she had never cared for, Adaoma. On a stormy evening, with rain pouring heavily, Obianuju appeared at the gates of Obidi's mansion. Her clothes were soaked, her hair clung to her face, and her knees sank into the mud as she wept bitterly. "Please, Adaoma," she cried, her voice breaking, "have mercy. Save my only brother. He has made mistakes, but he is still blood." But Adaoma stood at the doorway, her heart heavy with memories. She remembered the years of insult, neglect, and cruelty, how she had been forced to work like a slave while Obianuju lived in comfort. Now the same sister who once mocked her was begging for help. Though Adaoma felt pity, she knew she could not allow herself to be deceived again. With a firm voice, she instructed the gatemen never to let Obianuju disturb her household again. Weeping and drenched in the cold rain, Obianuju was turned away, carrying the weight of regret. With the dark shadows of her past behind her, Adaoma's life blossomed like never before. Her fashion business grew rapidly, attracting customers from far and wide who admired her creativity and unique designs. The once timid girl who hawked oranges was now a respected young woman, standing proudly in her own success. In time, her bond with Obidi, the man who had rescued and supported her, deepened into love. Their wedding was a joyous celebration, attended by friends, well-wishers, and villagers who marveled at how far Adaoma had come. Together, they built a warm and happy home. God blessed their union with 2 wonderful children, and their household was filled with laughter, peace, and prosperity. For the first time in her life, Adaoma truly tasted happiness, surrounded not by cruelty or neglect, but by love and honor. Out of compassion, she sent money to secure the release of her stepbrother, Obis, from prison. It was not because she had forgotten the cruelty of the past, but because she chose to rise above bitterness. Still, Adaoma made her stand very clear. She warned Obiajili never to disturb her family, her marriage, or her business again. Her act of mercy was not an invitation for reconciliation, but a demonstration of strength, showing that forgiveness can be given, yet boundaries must remain. Tomorrow is pregnant, we don't know what it will give birth to. Treat everyone equally, for the future belongs to God.